Lewis Hamilton has devised a strategic plan to become an 8-time world champion alongside his SF-25. Stay until the end to uncover the ingenious plan that has been leaked. We have the exclusive scoop. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th world championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. If someone had told you just a few years ago that Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, the architect of a modern Formula One dynasty, the man who shattered records and redefined the very essence of dominance in motorsport, would one day walk through the gates of Maranello as a Ferrari driver, it would have been dismissed as pure lunacy. The mere suggestion would have been met with ridicule, disbelief, and outright rejection. It was a fantasy confined to the fevered imaginations of hopeful tifosi, a scenario so detached from reality that even the most speculative minds in the paddock would have laughed it off. Because Lewis Hamilton was Mercedes. His name was etched into the very DNA of the Silver Arrows, woven into the history of a team that had become synonymous with an era of unprecedented supremacy. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th world championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. But fiction has a strange way of becoming reality, and in the ever-unpredictable world of Formula One, the unthinkable has a tendency to materialize. Now here we are, standing on the precipice of a seismic shift in the sport, watching as the most successful driver of his generation steps into a scarlet racing suit, preparing to lead the charge for Ferrari. The weight of history presses down on this moment, an intersection of past and present that feels almost mythological. Because Ferrari isn't just a team. Ferrari is an institution, a religion, a force that transcends the boundaries of racing. It is the dream of every driver, the pinnacle of motorsport mythology, the holy grail that so many have sought but so few have conquered. The mere sound of the SF-25's engine firing up inside Ferrari's Maranello headquarters was more than just the birth of a new challenger. It was a declaration, a statement of intent that reverberated far beyond the walls of the factory. The first ignition wasn't just a technical formality, it was a ritual. The entire atmosphere in the room was thick with history, expectation, and a palpable sense of anticipation. Mechanics, engineers, team personnel, everyone present knew they were witnessing something that would be talked about for generations. The sound wasn't just the growl of a new machine, it was a war cry, a signal that the Scuderia was ready to fight, ready to reclaim its place at the top of the Formula One hierarchy. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th world championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. For Ferrari, this moment represents more than just signing a superstar. It is a commitment to excellence, an unrelenting pursuit of glory that has defined the team since Enzo Ferrari first set his sights on racing immortality. The prancing horse has endured decades of triumphs and heartbreaks, of soaring victories and crushing disappointments, but through it all, Ferrari has remained the beating heart of Formula One. And now, with Hamilton stepping into the cockpit, the equation has changed entirely. This isn't just about a new driver joining a team, this is about the convergence of two titanic forces, a fusion of legacies that could reshape the landscape of the sport. The sheer gravity of Hamilton's move to Ferrari cannot be overstated. It is a decision that carries profound implications, not only for his own career but for the entire championship. For over a decade, Hamilton has been the face of Mercedes' reign, the standard-bearer of a team that built itself around his brilliance. He has fought battles, endured controversies, and cemented his status as one of the all-time greats under the silver banner. But now, he embarks on a new chapter, one that will test him in ways he has never been tested before. Ferrari is a beast of a different nature. It is a team that operates on passion, on emotion, on a relentless pursuit of perfection that can be both exhilarating and brutal. The expectations will be astronomical, the scrutiny unparalleled, the stakes higher than ever. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th world championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. There is an undeniable sense that this is more than just another high-profile transfer. This is history unfolding in real time, a story that will be dissected, analyzed, and mythologized for years to come. What does this mean for Charles Leclerc, the man who has been Ferrari's golden boy? How will the internal dynamics shift when two of the most talented drivers on the grid go head-to-head in equal machinery? And what of Mercedes, now left to navigate a future without the driver who defined their dominance? The ripple effects of Hamilton's move will be felt in every corner of the paddock, from the factory floors to the strategy rooms to the very DNA of the sport itself. There is something almost poetic about Hamilton's journey leading him to Ferrari. He has spoken often of his admiration for Ayrton Senna, of the dreams he had as a young boy staring at posters of his idols. And now, in the twilight of his career, He finds himself at the wheel of the most iconic car in racing history, chasing one final chapter, one last shot at immortality. Because for all his achievements, all his records, all his titles, there is one thing Hamilton has never done: win in Ferrari red. And that, above all else, is what makes this story so compelling. The road ahead will be anything but easy. Ferrari has been on a relentless quest to return to the top, but for years, they have fallen short. The ghosts of past failures loom large, and the expectations placed upon Hamilton's shoulders will be suffocating. Every move, every lap, every decision will be scrutinized under the harshest of spotlights. But if there is one driver who thrives under pressure, who relishes the challenge of defying the odds, it is Lewis Hamilton. He has made a career out of proving people wrong, out of silencing doubters and rewriting history in real time. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th World Championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. And so, as the engines roar to life, as the anticipation builds toward the first race of this new era, one question lingers above all others. Is this the moment that Ferrari's long-awaited resurrection begins? Is this the chapter that will see Hamilton carve his name into Maranello's sacred halls, alongside Schumacher, Lauda, and Ascari? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the world is watching, and Formula One will never be the same again. Subscribe only if you want Hamilton to win his 8th World Championship and be crowned as the greatest driver in history. The sound that tore through the air was more than just an engine firing up. It was an unfiltered declaration of war, an omen of disruption, a battle cry that carried with it the weight of history and the unshakable hunger of a team that has been caged for far too long. The SF-25 did not merely start, it erupted. Its voice was not the clinical polished hum of a well-engineered power unit but a raw guttural snarl that sent tremors through the bones of every engineer, every mechanic, every soul present in the room. It was the kind of sound that did not just echo off the walls of Maranello but seemed to reverberate through time itself, reaching deep into the past to summon the restless spirit of Enzo Ferrari, daring him to witness the moment that could finally signal the resurrection of his empire. For too long, Ferrari has been a prisoner of its own legend, a team that has carried the burden of greatness like a millstone around its neck. There was a time when the Scuderia was synonymous with dominance, when the mere sight of a red car in the mirrors struck fear into opponents, when the prancing horse was not just a symbol of heritage but of inevitable triumph. But that time faded, and in its place came an era of torment, an era where the ghosts of the past whispered incessantly, reminding every new generation of engineers, strategists, and drivers that they were standing in the shadows of giants. The Tifosi, the most passionate and relentless fanbase in motorsport, have lived through years of heartbreak, their unwavering loyalty tested by misfortune, incompetence, and missed opportunities. They remember 2017 and 2018 not as seasons, but as scars, wounds that never fully healed. Those were the years when Ferrari had a real chance, when Sebastian Vettel could have altered the course of history, when a championship was within reach. But reality is cruel, and in those crucial moments, when composure was needed most, Ferrari unraveled. Strategy errors, unforced mistakes, moments of self-destruction, they all compounded into a crushing realization that even when the car was strong, the team was not. And then came the drought, a period where the Scuderia faded into the background as Mercedes constructed an empire of unrelenting efficiency, and Red Bull, after years of rebuilding, finally seized control with an iron grip that has proven nearly unbreakable. What followed was an era of suffering, of cars that never quite delivered, of campaigns that began with optimism and ended in despair. Ferrari, the most storied team in Formula One history, had become a symbol of unfulfilled potential, a team capable of building machines that flirted with brilliance but never married it. They came close, but never close enough. Every season started with the same hope, and every season ended with the same bitter taste of failure. There were flashes of resistance, Charles Leclerc's dazzling performances, moments of strategic genius, brief glimpses of the Ferrari of old, but they were fleeting. Every step forward seemed to be followed by 2 steps back. And all the while, Red Bull only grew stronger, sharpening their weapons, perfecting their execution, building a dynasty that seemed unshakable. But then, on that fateful day in Maranello, something changed. The SF-25's roar was different. It carried something intangible yet undeniable, something that felt less like an announcement and more like a warning. This was not just another Ferrari power unit. This was not just another pre-season unveiling. This was a statement, a signal that Ferrari was done being the nearly men, done being the team of heartbreak, done being the team that bows before the Red Bull juggernaut. There was an electricity in the air, a feeling that for the first time in years, Ferrari was no longer trying to recapture its past, but instead forging an entirely new future. The engineers who stood around that car knew it. The mechanics who had poured their souls into its creation felt it. Even the most hardened skeptics could not deny that something fundamental had shifted. The SF-25 was built not to participate, but to conquer. It was a machine designed with one purpose: to break the cycle, to shatter the narrative, to bring the prancing horse back to the front where it belongs. And as the echoes of that first ignition faded into the Maranello night, one thing became unmistakably clear. For the first time in a long time, Ferrari was not just dreaming of victory. It was preparing for war. Now, the atmosphere in Formula One has shifted in a way that feels seismic. This isn't just another chapter in the sport's long and storied history. This isn't just another driver making a blockbuster move. This is something else. This is Ferrari, the most iconic team in motorsport, making the boldest, riskiest, and most tantalizing gamble in modern F1 history. This is a team that has spent over a decade in the shadow of its former glory, a team that has fallen short time and time again, now entrusting its entire future to a man who has been their executioner, their nightmare, their unrelenting tormentor for nearly 2 decades. Lewis Hamilton, the man who snatched a title from Ferrari's grasp in 2008 in the most heartbreaking, agonizing way possible. The man who led the Mercedes juggernaut that crushed their hopes for a decade. The man who took their dreams, tore them apart, and left them with nothing but regret. And yet, here he is. Not as an enemy. Not as an outsider looking in. But as their savior. Their leader. Their only hope. But make no mistake, this is no sentimental farewell tour. This is no lucrative retirement package wrapped in red. This is not a comfortable, easy, or predictable move. This is war. This is a mission. A mission to rewrite history. A mission to do what no man has ever done before. Because 7 titles? That's iconic. 7 titles put you among the greatest to ever do it. But 8? 8 is untouchable. 8 is unassailable. 8 is a statement that will echo through eternity. And Hamilton knows it. He feels it. He breathes it. Ferrari, for all its grandeur, is a machine unlike any Hamilton has ever operated. This is not the cold, calculated, ruthlessly efficient environment of Mercedes, where everything runs like clockwork, where the pursuit of excellence is systematic, robotic, inevitable. No, Maranello is something else entirely. It is chaos wrapped in beauty, pressure wrapped in history, politics wrapped in expectation. It is an organism that breathes passion, that demands devotion, that has crushed the will of some of the finest drivers to ever grace the sport. Fernando Alonso, the relentless gladiator, poured his soul into this team, fought like a warrior, and yet he left without a title to his name. Sebastian Vettel, once the golden boy of the sport, arrived as the man to restore Ferrari's past greatness, only to crack under the crushing weight of expectation. Even Michael Schumacher, the only man who ever truly tamed the beast, did so by reshaping Ferrari in his own image, by imposing his will upon it, by turning it into an unstoppable force through sheer dominance of mind and spirit. And now, Hamilton stands at the gates of Maranello, facing the greatest challenge of his career. Can he do what Alonso could not? Can he succeed where Vettel faltered? Can he mold Ferrari into his weapon, bend it to his will, and carve his name into the sport's history in the deepest way possible? This is more than just a title fight. This is a battle against the very nature of Ferrari itself. The inefficiency, the politics, the emotional roller coaster of success and failure. This is a battle against the ghosts of the past, against the weight of history, against a system that has resisted change at every turn. But if there is one man who thrives in adversity, one man who has built his legacy on defying expectations, one man who has never backed down from a challenge, it is Lewis Hamilton. He is not just a driver. He is a force of nature. And now, with everything on the line, with the ultimate prize hanging in the balance, he embarks on the final quest of his career. 7 is legendary. But 8? 8 is forever. And he knows, deep in his heart, that this is his one shot to make it happen. The greatest gamble in Formula One history is underway. And the world is watching. But before he can even entertain the idea of taking on Max Verstappen, before the dream of donning Ferrari red and conquering the streets of Monaco or standing victorious in front of the Tifosi at Monza becomes a reality, Lewis Hamilton must first confront the turbulence brewing within Ferrari's own walls. Because at Maranello, the battle for supremacy doesn't just happen on the track, it festers behind closed doors, in whispered meetings and in the unspoken hierarchy that defines the team's history. Inside the legendary Scuderia, there is already tension. And not just the usual pressure that comes with being Ferrari, the most iconic and scrutinized team in Formula One history. No, this is personal. This is raw. This is a collision of egos, ambitions, and legacies. Charles Leclerc, the golden boy of Ferrari, the man anointed as the team's future after years of turmoil and instability, now finds himself in uncharted waters. For years, he has carried the hopes of the Tifosi on his shoulders, enduring the ups and downs of Ferrari's endless rebuild, suffering through mechanical failures, strategic blunders, and the suffocating weight of expectation. He was promised that patience would pay off, that one day Ferrari would build a car worthy of his immense talent. And now, just as that day seems to be dawning, with whispers that Ferrari might finally have a contender for 2024, he is forced to share his kingdom with a 7-time world champion. A driver who is not just one of the greatest of all time, but a competitor who has never known how to play a supporting role. Hamilton doesn't join teams to follow. He leads. He dominates. He redefines the narrative. At Mercedes, he built a dynasty. He turned a struggling team into a juggernaut, winning title after title, year after year. Even in his darkest moments, when Verstappen and Red Bull wrested the crown from him, he never wavered in his belief that he was the best, that he could rise again. And now, as he nears the twilight of his career, he sees Ferrari not just as a team but as a legacy-defining challenge. To win a title with Ferrari, to do what so few have done in modern F1, would elevate him into a stratosphere of greatness that even his fiercest critics could not deny. But to achieve that, he must first defeat the man who has called Ferrari home for years. A man who is younger, hungrier, and desperate to prove that he is the Scuderia's one true leader. This is not the first time Ferrari has been caught in the crossfire of internal warfare. The history books are littered with tales of Maranello's infighting, Massa and Alonso's uneasy truce, which crumbled under the weight of Fernando's relentless ambition, Vettel's bitter rivalry with Leclerc, which erupted into chaos on track more than once. Even Schumacher, as untouchable as he was, had his moments of tension with Barrichello when team orders pushed their relationship to the brink. Ferrari is no stranger to drama, but this feels different. This feels more combustible. Because while Leclerc has grown into a team leader, adored by the fans and respected by his engineers, Hamilton brings with him an aura of inevitability. He is not just a driver, he is a brand, a movement, a phenomenon. And Ferrari, for all its tradition and mystique, has never quite known how to handle a force like that. The early signs of tension are already there. Leclerc, once the unquestioned star of every promotional video and social media post, now shares the spotlight with Hamilton. The garage, once his domain, is now split, with Hamilton's entourage carving out their own space, their own identity. Even the engineering team, tasked with the impossible job of maintaining equality between two titans, is feeling the strain. Whispers of favoritism, of subtle differences in treatment, are inevitable. After all, this is Ferrari, a team where every decision is scrutinized, every gesture analyzed. And as much as the team will try to project unity, the cracks will show. They always do. On the track, the stakes are even higher. Hamilton will push from day one, extracting every ounce of performance from the car, showing the team, and the world, that he still has what it takes to win. Leclerc, meanwhile, will have to fight not just for victories, but for his very position within the team. Every qualifying session, every race start, every overtaking maneuver will carry extra weight, as both drivers try to assert their dominance. And when the inevitable on-track clash happens, because it will happen, the fallout could be catastrophic. Will Ferrari side with the proven champion, the man chasing an 8th title to cement his legacy? Or will they back their homegrown star, the future of the team and the hope of a new generation of Tifosi? The psychological battle will be just as fierce as the physical one. Leclerc, for all his talent, has shown moments of fragility under pressure. The strategic errors, the mechanical failures, the heartbreaks of seasons past, they have left scars. Hamilton, on the other hand, thrives in chaos. He has been through wars with the likes of Nico Rosberg, Sebastian Vettel, and Verstappen, and come out the other side stronger. He knows how to play the political game, how to manipulate a team to his advantage, how to turn the tide in his favor. Leclerc will need to find a new level of resilience, a new gear in his mental approach, if he is to survive this fight. For Ferrari, this is both an opportunity and a gamble. In Hamilton and Leclerc, They have arguably the strongest driver lineup on the grid. But with that strength comes volatility. The potential for glory is matched only by the potential for disaster. If they can channel the competitive fire of their drivers into pushing the team forward, they could achieve something truly special. But if the rivalry spirals out of control, if the tension becomes unmanageable, it could set the team back years. And in the unforgiving world of Formula One, where every second counts, where every misstep is punished, that is a risk Ferrari cannot afford to take. As the season unfolds, the world will watch with bated breath. Will Hamilton's quest for immortality at Ferrari end in triumph or heartbreak? Will Leclerc rise to the challenge and cement his place as the Scuderia's future? Or will the weight of their rivalry tear the team apart, leaving both men to wonder what might have been? One thing is certain, this is a story that will define an era, a battle for the ages that will be remembered long after the dust has settled. Because at Ferrari, there is no middle ground. There is only victory or defeat, glory or ruin. And for Hamilton and Leclerc, there is everything to play for. If Ferrari cannot produce a car worthy of their ambition, then all the excitement, the hope, and the seismic shift brought by Hamilton's arrival will mean nothing. That is the ultimate question that hangs over Maranello like an unshakable storm cloud. Has the Scuderia finally built a machine capable of ending the drought, of rewriting the narrative, of restoring the prancing horse to its rightful place at the summit of Formula One? The SF-25 is their answer, their statement of intent. But is it truly the car that will break the cycle of disappointment? Is it the machine that will silence the skeptics and deliver Hamilton his record-breaking 8th title? On paper, the numbers are staggering. The SF-25 represents a radical evolution, a no-compromise engineering marvel designed to erase the shortcomings of its predecessors. Ferrari's aero department, led by some of the brightest minds in the sport, has meticulously reworked the car's bodywork, exploiting every millimeter of the rulebook to extract maximum downforce without sacrificing straight-line speed. The influence of Red Bull's RB20 is unmistakable, underbody Venturi tunnels optimized to perfection, an aggressive rear-wing concept designed to enhance high-speed stability, and intricate side-pod sculpting aimed at reducing drag. The car is a hybrid of the best ideas in Formula One, refined and reimagined through the lens of Ferrari's relentless pursuit of performance. But aerodynamics alone won't win championships. Ferrari's Achilles heel in recent years has been their power unit, either too fragile, too inefficient, or simply not enough to challenge Red Bull's unrivaled combination of raw horsepower and efficiency. That, they claim, has changed. Rumors suggest the new engine is a game-changer, pushing the limits of thermal efficiency in a way never seen before in the hybrid era. Some insiders even whisper that Ferrari has found a way to recover energy more effectively than any of their rivals, unlocking power deployment strategies that could finally match, or even surpass, Red Bull's mighty Honda-badged powertrain. If true, this would be a seismic shift in the power balance of the grid. But history has taught us a painful lesson. Ferrari's biggest enemy is often itself. For every glimmer of hope, there has been a crushing disappointment. The ghost of reliability issues looms large. The specter of strategic miscalculations lingers in the background. Can Ferrari execute at the highest level across an entire season? Can they be perfect when perfection is the only currency that wins championships? And even if they do everything right, even if the SF-25 is a masterpiece, there is still the immovable force that stands in their way, Red Bull. The juggernaut that has turned Formula One into its personal empire. The team that has redefined dominance, rewriting the rules of what is possible in this era of racing. At the heart of it all stands Max Verstappen, a driver at the peak of his powers, seemingly untouchable, relentless in his pursuit of victory. And behind him the mastermind, Adrian Newey, a man whose understanding of aerodynamics borders on the supernatural. This is a team that does not make mistakes. This is a team that has crushed every challenger with cold, ruthless efficiency. Ferrari is not just fighting to win races. They are fighting to dismantle a dynasty. To topple an empire built on precision, innovation, and unrelenting dominance. This is not just another Formula One season. This is a battle for the soul of the sport. For Hamilton, the stakes could not be higher. This is the final chapter of his legendary career, the last great challenge that could cement him as the undisputed greatest of all time. Winning with Ferrari would be the ultimate triumph, a feat that transcends statistics and enters the realm of myth. But the challenge ahead is unlike anything he has faced before. He is walking into a team that has not won a title in nearly 2 decades, into a culture that has struggled to handle pressure, into a battle where every detail, every decision, could be the difference between glory and heartbreak. And then there is Leclerc, the prodigy, the golden boy of Maranello. A driver who has carried the weight of Ferrari's failures on his shoulders for years. Now, with Hamilton by his side, he faces the defining moment of his career. Will he rise and prove himself as Ferrari's true leader? Or will he be forced into the shadows, forever living in the orbit of a 7-time world champion? The 2025 season is not just about winning races. It is about rewriting legacies. It is about history being made, about dynasties clashing, about the raw emotion that makes Formula One the most exhilarating sport on the planet. The countdown has begun. The stage is set. The war is coming. And every single second of it will be unmissable.